Review time! Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality with the best hair, and welcome back to...
The Summer of Halloween!
Whew, and now, finishing off what is colloquially known as the Thorn Trilogy, we reach Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. Allegedly named so because of the absolute development hell that this movie went through. The Curse of Michael Myers is the last Halloween movie with Donald Pleasence in it, as unfortunately he passed away before the movie could be released. And not only that, but after the original producer's cut of the film was shown to a test audience of 14-year-olds for this R-rated movie, it turns out they didn't really like it so much, so the studio scrambled to do a whole bunch of reshoots to appease this target audience, and in between the producer's cut and the reshoots, that's when Donald Pleasence passed away. Which is why two different versions of this movie exist, the theatrical cut and the producer's cut. Either way, this is a tale about the origins of Michael Myers, where he came from, what was the deal with the Man in Black in Halloween 5, and most importantly, how exactly did he survive when Loomis shot him 6 times? Well, let's take a look at the theatrical cut and find out. What do you want from me? I don't have the producer's cut to review.
Michael, please don't hurt me.
What the hell was that?
Anyway, the opening we're supposed to be able to understand, at least a little, shows us our old friend Jamie. Except this takes place 6 years later, and she somehow went from 10 or 12 to like 20 and is now played by J.C. Brandy. Danielle Harris wanted the role, if they were willing to pay her enough to cover the legal fees required for her to play the role in the first place, and if they didn't royally fuck up their handling of the character like they did. Anyway, after J.C. Jamie here is taken via gurney down the longest damn boiler room hallway I've ever seen, we see it eventually ends in a motherfucking temple.
Please give him to me. Please.
To have a giant fucking enormous baby! Yeah, it is a little too risky to treat a newborn like a movie prop, but they don't even try to hide how big this motherfucker is. And it looks like while doing the narration about how Jamie was the last in the Myers bloodline left and painting the thorn rune on the kid are important, they still felt it's more important to circumcise him first. As it turns out that Jamie also disappeared 6 years ago after Michael escaped from prison. Fat lot of good that did her, only coming back to already have been kidnapped and had her kid stolen from her.
Jamie, come with me if you want to save your baby.
But have no fear, Nurse Miscellaneous is here to bring her forth to freedom! I mean, yeah, she was working with the cult the whole time and had her imprisoned for, like, years, but now she's on her side because... how else is the movie supposed to start? After running her through these long fucking hallways once more, Dr. Whatever has her run off alone from here on out. That way, Michael Myers, now played by George P. Wilbur, can kill her instead! Starting this movie off the best way we know how, the Halloween Dance Remix! While Michael boogies, Jamie reaches the surface with her baby. Fortunately, there just so happens to already be a handy-dandy hole in the fence, and a truck with the keys still inside. The owner is also nearby, but Michael takes care of that problem in a snap. Now, let's ignore that game of cat and mouse, because we have more characters to introduce elsewhere.
Danny. Kill for him.
Mommy!
Danny?
Fucking hell, that's one way to convince your kids not to bother you with this monster in the closet bullshit. Just always enter their bedrooms with a jump scare. This kid would be Danny, played by Devin Gardner, and his mother is Kara, played by Marion Hagen. Hearing how the kid's seeing this dark man again and how he's telling Danny to kill people is just mundane at this point, so she pays it no mind. Sure, he's also drawing weird fucking symbols on his childhood doodles, but that's not important. She's our leading young lady of this horror movie, so she has to hop to it and get naked as soon as possible. Except, of course, there does seem to be someone outside her window. Pay me no mind, continue doing what you're doing. Peeping Tom over here would be Tommy, the very same one babysat by Laurie Strode in the first movie. Except this time he's played by Paul Rudd, and because he saw Michael years ago, he's the one that gets the cool Tommy Jarvis treatment, becoming a Michael Myers hunter. But whatever happened to Dr. Loomis, the original Michael Myers hunter?
I heard the old quack was dead. What are you looking for?
Not dead.
You know, maybe
Just very much retired.
I wonder if that might be a reference to the fact that Donald Pleasance allegedly said that Dr. Loomis was going to die in Halloween 5, which he obviously didn't. Around this time, Loomis is visited by an old friend, Dr. Wynn, now played by Mitchell Ryan instead of Robert Phelan like in the original movie. As it just so happens, the radio is also playing a call-in show about Halloween and Michael Myers, and at this very moment, Jamie also manages to make it to a truck stop. A truck stop with, like, no customers or staff, because that's what back in 20 minutes means. But they still have a phone. However, 911 isn't working because it's raining outside. Or severe weather. Either way, Haddonfield sucks, so who does Jamie call for help? A fucking radio station, of course.
Look, someone, anyone, help me. Dr. Loomis, are you out there? Can you hear me, Dr. Loomis? I need your help.
Please, no, stop doing that. What the hell is going on tonight?
Oh, God. What's the number for Miss Cleo? Maybe she'll know what to do. Now she can call fucking no one else, because that guy sounded helpful. Either way, Michael makes it to the truck stop and slowly sneaks around searching for the stupid one, only to find out that she has escaped. Not far, though, because her truck gets run off the road by an evil white van. This leaves her with nothing but a bond to use for shelter. Or another backdrop to keep the kills from feeling too samey. So, Jamie's dead? Yep, she's dead. But in her dying breath, she tells Michael he can't have the baby. And indeed, she was onto something, as in the truck, all the killer manages to find is the quilted quicker picker-upper. Oh well, on to more characters.
Enough of this Michael Myers bullshit!
Hate to break it to you, dude, but we're only halfway through the summer special, so buckle in. This would be Bradford English playing the role of John Strode, the brother of Laurie's foster father, Morgan. Seems after decades of Strode Realty not being able to sell the Myers place to any family, or as a tourism destination, Morgan just let John move his family into the place, including his wife Deborah, played by Kim Darby, and son Tim, played by Keith Bogart. However, it seems that he never actually intended for his daughter to live there, or her child, as he makes very, very clear during breakfast.
Oh, yeah, that's it, Deborah. Just keep slipping her the cash. You know, while you're at it, I got a great idea. Here, why don't you give her all of our goddamn money?
Man, if only all abuse was like this.
Before you came around, everything was going fine. Till you landed on our doorstep. You and that little bastard of yours.
Yeah, I'm sure life in the Strode house was all sunshine and rainbows with a jackass like you around. Thinking your brother didn't really seem much better. Standing up to his verbal abuse results in the man upgrading to physical abuse. However, when Danny points a steak knife his way, that's enough to make them decide to de-escalate the situation. Oh well, another character to introduce outside. Beth, played by Maria O'Brien.
God,
Another episode of Father Knows Best at the Strode house.
what the hell happened this time?
I see Tim's also practicing being as terrifying as possible to his love interest. Ah well, everyone has their important business to take care of and hop to it. Along the way, they pass by the neighbor's house. It's actually a boarding house, as Tommy is known in the neighborhood as being mentally scarred from childhood, but not really dangerous, and he's not the only one who lives there.
Happy Halloween, Mrs. Blankenship!
Best part about living in that boarding house is that crazy old lady wouldn't hear a truck drive through her living room.
Strangely enough, though, she does have the uncanny ability to tell if you've missed breakfast and will not leave you alone until you finish what's on your plate. Tommy, though, is up in his room desperately trying to piece this mystery together. All he has to go on is that tape of the call Jamie gave the radio station before she died, and playing it back, he hears calls over an apparent speaker system about buses arriving and departing. Kinda strange considering while Jamie was said the place was 100% abandoned, but who really cares about that at this point? Finding out that, yes, a bus did in fact come in from Pontiac, which matches the audio clip from 5 seconds ago. The bigger clue he's on the right track might be the giant fucking puddle of blood on the floor. Not sure how the janitors missed that one, or better yet, the trail of blood, which leads Tommy down to a bathroom cabinet, where he finds something else.
Jesus.
I can believe that Jamie hid the little bastard, but how in the fuck did no one else notice the blood, or the trail, or have to use the bathroom at some point? While Tommy easily walks out with a huge, loud newborn, without raising any questions, Dr. Loomis is trying to answer questions at the barn where Jamie's body was found. Like, what the hell's that big thing burned in the hay?
It's his mark. He's come home.
He just so happen to have never left this mark any time before now, but... yeah, you were his doctor for a while. You probably saw it on his wrist sometime in all those years, even though it didn't actually appear until Halloween 5. But now it's everywhere, like on Danny's little crayon drawings. Or the movie storyboards, whatever they are.
He's been having nightmares.
I think it's cool.
Shut up, fart knocker. Slightly less importantly, Tommy heads to the emergency room to get a doctor for the baby. Because something, accident, something.
What kind of accident?
Give me a doctor, now!
Security?
That's doctor security? This better not be another incorrect transfer. Who cares about any of that anyway? The only Dr. Tommy sees is Dr. Loomis over here, who just so happens to be standing in the other room. After telling Loomis that this is Jamie's baby, and the Strode family is living in the old Myers house, he's gotta get going.
Meet me tonight, 9 o'clock at the campus rally.
Tommy, wait! Wait!
It's a Halloween rally. I didn't bring a costume. You think I might pass as a decent Dick Tracy? It's quite a while until the event, though, so for now we head back to the Strode/Myers house to establish a few things. 1, the hatchet still exists. 2, the washing machine does as well. 3, it doesn't fucking work right. And 4, the place is all kinds of eerie, creepy, spooky, which has Deborah on edge.
Mrs. Strode, is everything all right?
I just broke into your house and snuck up behind you in the dark. What could possibly be the matter? Fortunately, she does not chase this weird, squirrely-looking guy out of her house and listens to what he has to say about how this house is in fact the old Myers house, and Michael Myers is coming back here. So she and her family must leave at once if they want to survive this Halloween. Of course, while he's walking home from school, Danny sees someone spooky along the sidewalk. In a world where jump scares exist in place of the word hello. Tommy does break the ice, or pumpkin, while Deborah calls up her husband at work. It seems that Dr. Loomis was the first she ever heard of the history of this house they are currently living in.
And you knew. And you didn't tell us, John. You knew.
God.
How the fuck didn't you know? The history of this specific house is very much the talk of the town. The locals vandalized it, referencing it as Michael Myers' house while you were living there. This really isn't his fault. Of course, in order for Deborah to start a better life away from this man, that would mean she would have to be alive at some point past today, and after a spooky call from the cult demanding the child, it becomes quite clear she isn't going to make it very far. That's right, despite her lightning speed when it comes to changing her sneakers, the wood fence looked like just a little too much for her to handle, leaving her to turn around and run right into Michael Myers. Shit, now I'm gonna have to pre-treat that one again. When Kara makes it home, it seems not only is no one answering, but Michael's trying to impress the Cenobites with how well he cleans up after himself. Kara eventually heads into the house, but calling for her mother or son results in silence, so she slowly sneaks her way upstairs, sure to suspensefully set up a scare. Danny's in his room! With the creepy fucking grown-ass man from next door, so yeah, that is actually pretty scary. The fact that her son walked home with this new 20-year-old friend because he knows so much about dinosaurs isn't that big of a deal, though. Now he says that Kara should come with him next door to the boarding house. So, of course, she does, bringing her son along to the creepy neighbor's room that is absolutely full of Michael Myers news clippings and the like.
Mommy? Mom!
Not now, Danny.
It's only the halfway point of the movie, dear. We can't know he's trying to kill us yet. But we can hammer out some details about the plot and how this all ties together with the previous Halloween movies. That thorn rune is associated with a cult that is associated with witchcraft, hexes, and murder.
To offer the blood sacrifices of its next of kin on the night of Samhain.
Halloween.
The sacrifice of one family meant sparing the lives of an entire tribe.
And I guess it's just members of the cult who actually know how to pronounce the word Samhain. So there's this freaky shit with a cult of Thorn, and they cursed Michael to kill his family as the spirits demand. With that, Tommy tells the two of them to stay put while he goes out. Whatever you do, don't return to the Myers house, because he only kills you if you go to his place, or some shit, I don't know. Not to worry, Mrs. Blankenkamp, played by Janice Nickrim, can tell creepy stories about the history of Halloween, and go above and beyond in the pursuit of scaring the shit out of people.
He hears the voice, you know, just like the other boy that lived in that house.
What are you talking about?
Apparently all this time Michael's been killing people because he's got a voice in his head saying, "Hey, go over there and kill your family." And Michael's like, "Alright, I got nothing better to do." And that little plot point with Danny goes abso-fucking-lutely nowhere, so let's hop back to that Myers house, where it seems Mr. Strode has finally come home, finding the place deserted and, even more telling, no dinner waiting on the table. He figures his wife finally left his ass for good. He's not wrong, but soon finds out exactly how, when he discovers the bloody sheets, the psycho killer, and what it feels like to be impaled as well as electrocuted. Or what it feels like to drink Pop Rocks and soda, either way. Ah well, he's not nearly as important as the Halloween party, the first one since 1989, as Haddonfield banned the holiday. Beth makes the case for celebration over superstition. But
I bet she wears crotchless panties and barks like a dog. Beth, what do you say, honey? You and me, yeah?
the radio personality, Barry Sims, played by Leo Getter, is one of the biggest douchebags on the planet. His lines make a little more sense when you realize that the character was written with Howard Stern in mind to play it, but only a little.
Just look at Tim's family. They live in the Myers house.
You do?
You do?
Everyone in town knows that house! They expressed their feelings via vandalism. How the hell didn't you notice? Learning that the legendary Psycho Killer's house is but a few blocks away, Barry Sims declares the radio show will continue there, instead of this lame-ass costume party. However... Michael just so happened to run all the damn way down there, hide in his van, kill him, and then presumably run all the fucking way back to the Myers house. Gotta keep up appearances after all. For some reason, the death of the radio personality means that Tim and Beth make it to the house, but fucking none of the radio crew whatsoever. Maybe they didn't realize they actually had to come because this town's just full of morons.
Mommy, it's raining red. It's raining.
How do you get to that age and not know what the hell blood is? Okay, at this point, I just have to do it.
It's raining men. Hallelujah, it's raining men. Amen.
The good news is, looky here! Tommy and Loomis meet up. While back at the Myers house, Tim and Beth get down to doing some teen fucking. Except Tim has to go freshen up first.
Watch out for the boogeyman.
Are you in there, boogeyman? Guess so. I can't say she didn't warn him, but she is still in that room and all alone with Michael Myers. So Kara calls the place, is confused when Beth answers, and we get rid of that character in short order.
Look out, there's someone in the room. He's right behind you.
It's not the best camera work there, Kara, I gotta say. Not the best parenting either, as while Kara's watching her friend get slaughtered, her dumbass kid up and runs off again, right into the Myers house. Yeah, he lives there and the voices in his head are influencing him, but come on, if the Thorn rituals work the way they're described to, that shit doesn't make sense anyway. Point is, Kara has to head in with her fireplace poker to save him. Easy enough, he just sat up there doing nothing, but damn it, now Myers is after them! He falls downstairs, but nobody cares. He survived that fall to the ground. The bombs, the fires, they shot him 6 times. Everyone knows it's Michael. He's laying limp at the bottom of the stairs, but Seriously, we're how many movies in now? I'm surprised he could feel that at all. He does grab Kara's leg, but not enough to actually stop her escape. However, it's not like he needed to, because when they get back to the boarding house, finding that Tommy and Dr. Loomis have returned, it just so happens the baby has gone missing. Sure, Tommy walked around town with the kid all morning, but he can't figure out who else could have possibly known the baby was here.
Who knew?
Nobody knew except me and...
Danny, come to me.
Okay, so now they can all hear the voice? I've given up trying to figure it out. I'm just trying to find out what the hell is going on. Denny follows the voice, which as it turns out belongs to none other than Dr. Loomis's old friend Dr. Wynn, who was the Man in Black and one of the Cult of Thorn all along. Oh, and the baby's still in the house, in the hands of Mrs. Blankenship, who is also in the Cult of Thorn, and they're coming to get Kara. Well, that is one way to make sure that they can't kill you.
Where is she? Where's Kara?
More importantly, what in the fuck just happened? Weren't you just being held up at Cult Point?
I feel like I've been drugged.
We have been drugged.
Oh, well, we kinda missed that part.
Why are they doing this?
To cover up the shitty editing? Rather, it seems that Dr. Wynn is a bit theatrical when it comes to his evil schemes, and wants to give the heroes the chance to enjoy the climax. After all, Dr. Loomis knows right where to go. Back to the Smith's Grove Sanitarium, home of long-ass white corridors, and of course, Dr. Wynn, ready to rant about the power they have in the cult.
Evil. Pure. Uncorrupted.
So, uncorrupted, pure evil. You lost me.
I thought Michael was a monster. But you...
Loomis, baby, we were never gonna get a full straight answer for the lore in the theatrical cut anyway. You could've just shot the bastard. They won't kill Dr. Loomis just yet, though, because drama. Tommy, however, hears screams and makes his way through the least secure maximum security checkpoint I've ever seen, eventually finding that Kara is being held in the room that's a reference to The Shining. Thus, he must break her out of there. No problem. You got a fire extinguisher. Just douse him with the chemicals. It works. At least for a little while. Our professional Myers hunter here must have missed Halloween 4, though, because he just breaks Kara out, and when Myers gets a hold of her, Tommy just shoots him with a gauze gun. Of course, they still need to find the baby, which, fortunately or unfortunately, is being held just down the insanely long hall by the Cult of Thorn. Don't worry, though. Michael Myers shows up. Yeah, that's normally quite a good damn reason to worry, especially as he's killing absolutely everyone indiscriminately, killing the very cult that made him. But that gives our heroes the chance to slip in and steal back the baby, as well as Danny, who is still in the movie for some reason. However, as they run for their lives, they end up in a deep, secret laboratory, where it looks like the reason Michael Myers is superhuman is simply because he has been genetically modified to be a superhuman killing machine. So in order to stop him... they shoot him up with an ass ton of the stuff that we can assume is what made him unbeatable in the first place? What the fuck would you do that for? What, do you want him to transform into a Resident Evil final boss? Well, that doesn't happen, but Tommy does inject him with even more mystery goo shortly before he begins to beat the ever-loving fuck out of Michael with the handy-dandy lead pipe that looks like he picked it up straight out of Final Fight. Also, looky here, Dr. Loomis is still alive, and conveniently shows up in the nick of time to save Kara, Danny, and the baby. Tommy, however... well, he does something, I think. Therefore, ending? The gang survives and asks Loomis to come with as they drive off into the credits, but he declines, saying he still has some unfinished business here. Dying off screen? I don't fucking know anymore. Anyway, that was Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. And... fuck. All over the place doesn't begin to describe it. So much is going on in the story that trying to piece it all together coherently would be a challenge on its own, but the reshoots and re-edits probably didn't do it any favors. Donald Pleasance, who allegedly was not in the greatest of health during the filming on top of it, still managed to have some of the best screen presence, only to then simply have next to no screen time. Most of the time is spent following the kids around, but, well, none of them are all that interesting. For the most part, we get your basic horror movie fodder, with a couple semi-deep characters from the parents who, again, we spend very little time with. The kid with the most stuff going on was Danny, and he is undoubtedly underdeveloped. There's spooks about the cult and the house and the curse, and it's supposed to be something involved with Myers' blood, which he doesn't have, and the Curse of Thorn, which he didn't get. This is a movie that seems to make less sense the more you think about it. Overall, Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers is at best a turn your brain off and try to enjoy its kills kind of movie. The insistence on strobes for quite a few of those, however, makes this a film I would not recommend to any epileptics out there, and while it's got nice gore effects here and there, that's absolutely the best thing you can say about it, coming in at 2 sneaky bedroom photographers out of 5. I feel like I need to take a shower or something. Again. What do you want? Oh, no, I am not doing the producer's cut. It's a fucking VHS bootleg that's been passed around for God knows how long. How in the hell am I supposed to... Oh, it's on Blu-ray. Shit. So I guess we'll be looking at the producer's cut. While Halloween 6 did have extensive reshoots, it's still mostly the same movie. Yeah, the case says it's got nearly 70 minutes of unedited footage, but that's really mostly the same exact footage, just with a new soundtrack this time. Either way, the producer's cut deals a lot more with the details involving the Cult of Thorn and what in the fuck is going on, plus we get all those scenes with Dr. Loomis that were chopped to ribbons in the theatrical version, including an entirely different ending. And I'm going to be looking at exactly what isn't the same, because, in case you haven't noticed, this video is pretty fucking long already, so let's take a look at the producer's cut and play spot the difference. First of all, the title itself. There's actually a 6 and the A is swapped out for a thorn rune. Also, say goodbye to the super confusing strobe light opening. I mean, the opening is still confusing, but it's just Jamie being pulled down the hallway on that gurney this time. Most of it plays out in the same as the theatrical cut, up until we get whisked away to the land of black and white, where we see a flashback to the ending of Halloween 5, except it continues.
Jamie, come to me.
So, Myers gets kidnapped, Jamie gets kidnapped, and then the station explodes. Why do Halloween endings always end up leading into, quick, we gotta set up the next movie in a hurry? But now that she has her baby, she must escape, doing so in much the same manner as we saw in the theatrical cut, spare the fact that the poor bastard whose truck she steals only gets his neck snapped this time. Danny still gets strange visits from the man in black, his mom still likes to jump scare him, and Jamie still goes to the truck stop, calls the radio station, and flees out the bathroom window. There's other small differences and changes to the soundtrack, but the biggest change of note to me is when she tries to run to the barn for shelter. Instead of it being a slow slink away from Stalker Myers, she just finds a bale of hay to sit on and stays there. And somehow that actually felt scarier to me. I've seen the hide in the shadows bit a million times, but her sitting there and nothing else really happening just transformed the whole scene into pure suspense. You knew she wasn't safe, and you were just waiting to see how long it was going to take for her to get gutted. But then the off-screen stab really wasn't the best payoff there, but oh well. Either way, Myers doesn't get the baby, and while we introduce more characters, Loomis gets some screen time to talk about the plot!
It was Jamie Lloyd.
That was 6 years ago, Sam. You know she died with him in that explosion. You know it.
That's what someone would like us to believe.
Someone else would like to cut that whole scene out and still expect us to buy it. As before, when they go to get the records on Michael Myers, Loomis hears about how Jamie Lloyd's body was found near Haddonfield. Also of note, I don't think all the minor changes to scenes are great. Sure, hearing Tim explain how he actually knows radio asshole Barry Burns does explain that a little better, but some things are best left unexplained.
You shut up and stay out of it.
Kill for him.
Please don't.
Yeah, it's scarier when the kid appears holding a knife up to his grandfather when you don't know it's coming. Also, while we spend more time for Kara's mom and dad to point out that her mother supports her, but her father does not. We kind of already know this. So moving on, there's not much difference going on outside of the soundtrack, which is good. I mean, the producer's cut is set to music that was composed for prior Halloween movies, so it's got nostalgia going for it. Also, some things that are the same this time around wind up with new meaning because of stuff we already saw. Hey, that hay was actually the same place Jamie was stabbed in this version.
God! Jamie.
Only God can help pronounce it.
Oh, and that is a pretty big change right there. Jamie survived. I mean, they said they found her body, which, technically is true, but usually you don't use that terminology when said body is still breathing. And when Dr. Loomis is told that the locals won't appreciate him running around telling ghost stories...
I suppose it was a ghost that did all this, huh? It was a ghost talking on the radio last night, and that's a ghost being carried out here right now.
God damn, the real horror of this movie is all of those great performances from Donald Pleasance that were left on the cutting room floor. The fact that Jamie was still just barely alive also means it actually makes sense that Dr. Loomis is at the emergency room trying to make sure she's alright when Tommy happens by with the baby. Knowing that the people of this town are in danger, Loomis of course goes to the old Myers house, where the Strodes live, and warns Kara's mother, not just with the history of Michael Myers, but with quotes from his previous movies.
Michael Myers has come back to Haddonfield to kill.
I tried to convince him to maybe start a business of his own, but he never did understand that there is no market for drive-through homicide. But just like before, she's just now learning that this very high-profile Myers house is in fact the Myers house, and as it turns out, Myers is in the house! One dead woman later, and it's back to the man in black, interrupted when a wild Tommy appears, and that long spooky walk through the house Kara does in search for her family. Though I suppose the soundtrack does make a pretty big difference here. It's even less of a scare when you can hear generic video game sounds going on. I mean, what else was she supposed to find in there? Michael playing a Tiger Wrist game? There are actual new scenes to find, though, so after the group heads over with Tommy to the boarding house, we remember, oh yeah, Jamie is still alive, and in the land of black and white, she remembers more plot details, specifically the dark tale of how she got pregnant in the first place, after being kidnapped by the Cult of Thorn.
Michael, please don't hurt me.
Yeah! I know this is probably the only place I'm ever going to find in a movie that I can actually play the South Park song Uncle Fucker. Hopefully. But I think I'll just stick to utter horror, thank you very much.
Your work is done now, Jamie.
So the Cult of Thorn can just fucking shoot her? What the hell is the point of any of this shit with Michael Myers if the Cult of Thorn vastly outnumbers him, can get anywhere easily, and just shoot the guys with guns? Not sure, but they do actually get into greater detail involving the runes, and how the Curse of Thorn doesn't just mean bad news for the Myers clan, but random assholes along the way as well.
So, why are you so concerned about us if Michael's only out to kill his family?
In his mind, anyone living in his house is his family.
And anyone wandering around Walmart wearing blue definitely works there. So Tommy heads down to the party to track down Loomis, where Tim and Beth are going to meet up with Barry for that radio interview thing. At the same time, Daddy Beats His Kids has come home to find it's empty and the power is out, resulting in his death. But that is a bit different in the producer's cut. When you get electrocuted, your head doesn't explode. Shocking, I know. Also, don't hope for any better written lines coming out of Barry's mouth. Looks like the reshoots didn't change anything about his character. The editing around his death, though, is a bit different, because when he gets in the van, it turns out we see it was in fact not the radio van. And after he is murdered, the radio van was just over there. Making the scene even more predictable and the character even dumber. Speaking of characters somehow being even stupider in the producer's cut.
It's raining red. Mommy, it's raining red. Mommy, it's raining. It's raining red.
The character's so stupid she doesn't know what blood is fucking singing about it raining red in the producer's cut. I wonder if the storyboards had her put on a play about it. Most of what follows is about the same for a while, though. Spare the soundtrack. Barry drops, Loomis and Tommy meet up, Tim's throat is fucking slit, and Beth gets stabbed to death while Kara badly works the camera. Danny also marches back over there, the zombie that he is, and Kara has to head in to protect him, holding the fireplace poker straight out so as to be as ineffective as possible. One thing is a minor but honestly pretty big change, though, when it comes time to save Danny from the unconscious Michael Myers.
Danny, come to Mommy. Danny, please.
And now I have to point out how that went in the theatrical version, because it's pretty fucking different. Yeah, in the theatrical version, it makes sense because he stands over there and waits for her to come to get him, but that's what made it scary, that she was begging him to fucking get over here and his zombie ass was just standing by the psycho killer in the danger zone. Why change that? Also, when they escape the house and return to Tommy's place, only to find the place absolutely crawling with the cult of Thorn, after Kara leaps out of the window to her unconsciousness, it does make a little more sense why they don't just kill her. And, oh, fuck, you know where this is going.
Where is she? Where's Kara? I feel like I've been drugged.
We have been drugged.
And yet, somehow, that transition is just as jarring and awkward as it ever was. The important thing, though, is we're getting ready for the climax, and that is just about entirely different between the two versions of the movie. For starters, Tommy's rune research provides a way they might be able to defeat Michael Myers.
Well, there are runes of light. Protection. If Thorn could somehow be trapped by these runes, the energies could cancel themselves out. The evil could be destroyed.
As well as the good, but never mind that little detail. Either way, Loomis asks Tommy to wait here while he confronts Dr. Wynn. This time, though, the man's all decked out in one of those spiffy cultist robes. They go into more detail about Michael's history this time, but not quite as much as they could have. Allegedly, there's an extra deleted line where Wynn points out that he's the one who taught Michael how to drive. Michael isn't really the most important one we should be discussing right now. Rather, Loomis will be chosen to take the reins and accept the Curse of Thorn after Michael's work is done.
I thought Michael was a monster. But you...
But hell, considering Loomis has survived practically as much as Michael at this point, I'm surprised he isn't already protected by a rune. During this time, though, Tommy wandered down the hallways. Not just to do the opposite of what he was instructed to do. In the producer's cut, he's following a robed cultist and discovers the temple where Kara is being held prisoner. Or as a sacrifice, with her kid nearby, and the baby nearby, and Michael nearby. However, she tries to beg Michael not to take their lives, because, after all...
You know whose baby it is, don't you?
Michael!
The baby is yours, isn't it? Isn't it, Michael?
Yeah, we know! And there's fan theories that your child is actually the child of you and your father, which, as fucked as it sounds, is believable in this plot. Have no fear, Tommy is here to threaten the cultists with a handy-dandy sacrificial dagger! This allows them to free Kara, bring Denny along, because, yeah, why not at this point, and save the baby. Oh yeah, but there's still that Michael Myers problem, so they flee down the insanely long hallways, and Tommy works his magic. Literally, setting up those runes of light and using his knife to add blood to the spell, as his knife keeps bleeding on its own. So, does this spell only work if you mispronounce that word? Well, it did something. Michael is standing there like a statue in the circle of runic stones. This gives Tommy an even better chance to escape, and Dr. Wynn the opportunity to walk up to the poor, unfortunate psycho. Ah, well, back outside we see the same basic ending as before, where they ask Dr. Loomis to come with, but he says he's got business here. However, when he gets inside we find out who Michael Myers really is.
Gone.
Kinda figured that when he removed the mask and it was you in there. It's not too many places for Michael to be hiding in this hallway. But now Dr. Wynn grabs Dr. Loomis and tells him it's on him now, transferring the Curse of Thorn onto the man. And now Michael Myers is the man in black. The Curse of Thorn was transferred to Dr. Loomis, even though they had previously said that Michael had to kill all of his family before he could do that, and he clearly didn't. Did the runes mess with that as well? And all this time, someone getting the Curse of Thorn is as complicated as saying, tag, you're it. Anyway, that was Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, producer's cut. And it's different and the same. First of all, the vast majority of this movie was the same film as a theatrical cut. The big difference was the soundtrack, but that is a difference in the feel of the movie nonetheless. Fleeing from Michael Myers to the classic Halloween theme will always feel scarier than fleeing from Michael Myers to a random guitar solo. The differences in the story, though, are kinda hit and miss. Fleshing out more of what happened between the two movies and answering where the hell the baby came from do help, ish, and now I'm left with a new conundrum. If the Cult of Thorn was trying to help Michael Myers kill his whole family on Halloween night when there was the Thorn constellation visible, then why, oh why did they ensure that more Myers children existed? They could have just waited for Halloween 1995 and had Michael kill Jamie and boom, be done with it. Instead, they made things harder for themselves for no discernible reason. Also, the transfer of the Curse of Thorn to Loomis at the end, while the end goal of the cult all throughout the movie, really didn't make sense. The baby was still alive, Michael was still alive, the whole thing about killing an entire family to pull off this curse hadn't been done. One could say maybe there was a loophole somewhere, but loopholes are another way of saying that they did something that clearly went against the established rules, and good fucking luck figuring that one out. At the end of the day, Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, producer's cut, does have a different feel to it than the theatrical cut. The music and changes to the plot lend it better to feeling like a proper horror movie, while the theatrical cut feels more like popcorn entertainment. Still, it doesn't help the movie nearly to the degree you might have been led to believe, coming in at 3 gaudy cultist robes out of 5. I can see why it has the following it does, but I can also understand why the studio felt that the theatrical cut was the better movie. Or, at the very least, more marketable. Thank you all for watching. I've been Shado, and remember, Red Rain isn't red rain, it's called blood. It doesn't rain red unless it's an Evil Dead movie, and even then, it's still blood. Come on, Dagger. It's not that bad. It's just the Halloween movies. Don't let it get to you.
Enough of this Michael Myers bullshit!